Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of Heal Yourself, A Return to Wholeness, the Integration of Body, Mind, Soul, and Spirit. I'm also the author of Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love. All of my books are available in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications, and thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do readings, 30, 60, and 90-minute readings, romance, twin flame, life, path, and purpose. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. Welcome to Removing Obstacle Thursdays, where we talk about removing the obstacles that might be in place on your twin flame journey. Now, even if you aren't able to remove the obstacles immediately, at least the intention of awareness helps to remove those obstacles. If you are aware, that is the first step of removing those obstacles. And today we are talking about 10 excuses your divine masculine gives you that are total BS, in parentheses, belief systems. And I thought this might be a fun one to help divine feminines on this journey put divine masculines' excuses into perspective. Now, I want to emphasize this one point before we get started on the 10 excuses that divine masculine gives. I want to tell you that if you hear these excuses in a normal dating scenario, please believe them as the person that you might be pursuing or has been pursuing you in a regular dating scenario. We are not talking about a soul connected scenario that's either a very strong soulmate or a twin flame relationship, but we are talking about a normal dating scenario. If somebody gives you an excuse or even one of these 10 excuses and says, this is why I don't want to continue things, I would say believe them, because even if those excuses don't sound right or valid, that person does have the right to walk away. Now, even in the twin flame situation, the twin flame still has the right to walk away. They have free will choice, right? But I am outlining these 10 very specifically because they are ones that I've asked you about. They're ones that I've heard in my personal readings. And of course, maybe one or two of them have applied to my current situation with my twin flame, either in the very past, in the present, or somewhere in between. So I want to emphasize to you that this is just so that you can be aware of what the excuses are, and also just to put them into perspective of the grander scheme of things, the grander picture. Because if somebody, especially a divine masculine twin flame, is giving you an excuse, then that excuse is probably pretty real for them at that particular moment in time. Sometimes they use the excuse as just a back door to try to sneak out the back door without saying the truth. But most times there is a level of belief that they truly have adhered to at the time that they give you this excuse. Excuse number one has to do with age, and it's either I am too young or too old, or you are too young or too old. This very often happens in twin flame connections because for the collective that I read for and for the collective that I tend to cater toward, there is sometimes a large discrepancy in age. So for my twin flame and I, the age difference is 12 years. But I know for some of you, it can be 20 years or 30 years or more. And sometimes even a very tiny age difference of 2 to 5 years, for some reason, for some divine masculines, it seems to be a larger age gap. So oftentimes you will hear a divine masculine twin flame come up with the age excuse, such as saying you're too old for me or too young for me, or I am too old or too young for you. And of course, that is just BS. That is a belief system. So let me explain the concept of belief system and where I like to say BS. And this is not mine. I did not use this BS as belief system. That came from Tony Robbins, who uses that often. So a belief system is just something that you have agreed to move forward in your life with. It does not make it true. It does not make it valid. It is just a belief system that you have agreed to for your life. Each person has a different set of core beliefs. But if you truly believe that a love relationship cannot have, for example, a huge age gap, then that is a part of your core belief system, so that anything that enters outside of that box that you've decided about age, then it's not going to calculate for you. You are going to immediately reject it, unless if you change that belief system, which here's the big clue. Belief systems can be changed. And of course, you change belief systems all the time. This happens all the time. One major belief system that has tended to change with twin flames in this twin flame journey is that I would never cheat on a spouse. Now, I read for about 60 to 80% of twin flames who are currently in a marriage, have been in a marriage while meeting their twin flame, or whose twin flame is in a marriage. That is not my case. It has never been my case for either one of us. But I do read for a lot of people for whom that is the case. And so one major belief system that these twin flames have had is, I would have never thought about cheating on anybody my entire life, nor have I ever done it. And I would never, ever cheat in a marriage. So those are two belief systems that have obviously changed and shifted once they met their twin flame person, because all of a sudden it blew whatever belief system they had out of the water. Now, they may have just shifted or changed that specific belief system for their twin flame. But again, most oftentimes, if we have these core beliefs, we do not change them for anybody. We really adhere to the belief systems that we have because they help to keep us safe. They help to keep us secure. They help to keep us in check with ourselves. So that is number one, age differences. Excuse number two, we are of different religions or of different religious backgrounds. I can understand from firsthand experience, not with my twin flame, but from a past relationship, that having a different religion or a different religious background can be very complicated for a romantic relationship. However, it is a belief system and it is an excuse. And there have been couples who have been very successful together with different religious backgrounds, or even practicing different religions. It's not easy, but it does happen. And again, that is just another belief system. Excuse number three, my family will not approve. This is very big, especially among certain cultures, such as various Asian cultures, East Indian cultures, and sometimes even in Western cultures where there are differences in race or maybe gender even, because what I have heard in many of the twin flame stories I have come across in my personalized readings and coaching is that there are twin flames who were heterosexual, for example, and their twin flame is of the same gender. And so all of a sudden they're changing their sexual orientation, and there is a lot of fear surrounding family approval. Or there have been different skin colors or different races, and then all of a sudden there is this great fear of my family will not approve. So that again is a belief system that can be changed, albeit it's hard. I understand that, but it can be changed and it's just an excuse. Number four that follows is we are from different cultures and or different socioeconomic backgrounds. This is another excuse that DM likes to use if you are indeed from a different culture than your twin flame and or socioeconomic background. For example, if you are college educated and let's say you went to law school and your twin flame divine masculine never even finished high school. And even though this is a really strong love relationship, it's a strong love connection, it's a strong soul connection, a lot of times DMs will use that as an excuse. Well, I couldn't possibly be with you because you have a law degree and I never even finished high school. How in the world is that going to work? So again, these are just hardcore belief systems that need to be changed and can be changed. And one of the things that we are designed to do as twin flames on this journey is we are designed to shatter these outdated paradigms that don't make sense anymore. Taking the college example, there are plenty of people who have been very, very successful in life who have never gone to college or maybe even never finished high school. And education, even though many societies consider it to be extremely important, higher education I'm speaking of, that doesn't mean that the person can't be successful. And that does not mean that a person who doesn't have a higher education cannot be with a person who has a different type of education. It could be life education, right? Number 5, this is a biggie. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship. My answer to that one, and I hear this a lot from twin flame divine masculines, my answer to that one is you don't really choose when and how you find love. And when you do find love, it's a gift. It's a gift to be given to you. And I know divine feminines fully grasp this concept. I know they fully understand it. Divine masculines have a harder time understanding it. A lot of times this twin flame journey blindsides divine masculines. They were not looking for love. They were not looking for a relationship. They were not looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend. And then all of a sudden, boom, here you appear, divine feminine. And they want to stick to their old belief system of, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I'm not ready for a relationship. So even though, and I've even heard this in private readings, even though you're the perfect person for me, I'm not looking for a relationship. And so this is an example of someone who is staying committed to their outdated belief systems. And it's just for the sake that it's a belief system that they have had, but they're not willing at that moment in time to change their belief system to become more aligned with what is currently happening in their daily life. Number 6 is a huge one, and I've heard this time and again. We work together, or I am your boss, and therefore we cannot be together. I call this the Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt syndrome from Parks and Rec, which my son and I have watched Parks and Rec many times. I think my son has watched the series Parks and Rec at least 10 different times, the entire series 10 different times. And we call this the Leslie and Ben complex because Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec was Leslie Knope's boss, and therefore they could not have a romantic relationship until one of them left the workplace. And what I want to say to you is what a male friend said to me was that if this person really wanted to make this work, if this person really wanted to be with you, the workplace would not be a non-issue. The workplace wouldn't be an issue at all. And here is why. There are many configurations and many ways in which you could break this belief system. One is being honest with the higher ups, HR, whatever it is. And if that doesn't work, there's always the possibility to change roles, change positions, change buildings, whatever it is, so that that configuration can work. And in fact, in Parks and Rec, for Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt, that's exactly what they did. They actually changed jobs, changed positions so that they could actually be together romantically. Number 7 is like one of the most heartbreaking excuses and belief systems that I have heard. And I understand it. I fully understand it. And I understand the sentiment behind it. And I don't blame divine masculines for saying this, but it is still heartbreaking. Number 7 is, I love you, but. I love you, but I cannot leave my wife and kids until the kids are out of the house. Now, oftentimes when I hear this in my personalized readings, the kids are very small. We're talking like they might be like age 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. And so here is divine masculine finding his divine feminine counterpart and wanting to be a noble and honorable person, but he is totally in love with his divine feminine. And he says to his divine feminine, no, I need to stay with my wife until the kids are out of the house, which we are talking about 18 years plus. And it breaks my heart because children know that a marriage is unhappy. Even very tiny children can pick up on everything. They not only pick up on words, but they pick up on all the nonverbals as well. And it's heartbreaking to me that a person would stay in a marriage that they are completely and utterly unhappy with for the sake of the children. It never works. It never, ever works. I've always talked to friends and family members, and even I had a very good friend in college who knew this, who knew that it was coming. It was like this impending doom and gloom. Like she knew as soon as she got to college that her parents were going to divorce, and that is exactly what happened. And it totally messed her up because she knew that this impending doom was actually coming. And when she went away to college, boom, it happened. And she was very depressed her freshman year in college because somehow the kids feel responsible for breaking up their parents' marriage just by virtue of like going away to college. So what I want to say is that that is a belief system that's based on something good, right? It's based on like, oh, I don't want to abandon my children. But if you look at the authenticity of it, it's just an excuse so that you don't need to live your authentic truth. Number 8, and this is the one that I hear often too, we live too far away from each other, a long distance relationship. And for a twin flame couple, this can be easily remedied because I have met twin flames around the entire globe who are more than willing to move or uproot to live with their divine counterpart, whether it be divine feminine or divine masculine. So that's just a really artificial BS excuse. Number 9. You are way too good for me. You will probably find someone better. Again, this really comes from the deep-seated insecurities of the divine masculine who says this to their divine feminine. They might be feeling that inherently at the time, or they might be feeling it overtly at the time where they really don't have a sense of high self-esteem or a sense of high self-worth. Now, divine feminines, I want to say something to you because of all the excuses that I have listed here, this one is probably the most valid. And here's why. Unless divine masculine works on themselves and works through their problems and issues of self-esteem and self-worth, it's going to be a really hard relationship. So I would say if they do give that excuse, you can assure them that that's not the case, but that they might want to take a look at their own sense of self-worth and self-esteem and work through that, because that is just a perception of worthlessness that divine masculine might give you, divine feminines, and you really don't want to be in a relationship with them until they've really worked through those issues of self-worth. Number 10, I am working on my career. Oh boy, my divine masculine gave me that excuse at some point, for sure. And I have heard a few times this week the same mantra of, I am working on my career, so I can't focus on you. I can't focus on a relationship. Even though this is a beautiful connection, forget it. I'm working on my career. Again, this comes from the belief system that everything must fit into a box. Often, this does come from masculine or male divine masculines because men in general do have a harder time multitasking, whereas women who were more traditionally the caregivers and had to tend to many children and the house and the cooking and the cleaning and the shopping and everything, they are more hardwired to multitask, whereas men have been more focus oriented. So as a result of that, many male divine masculines will have a tendency to put certain things into certain boxes and just place a focus on one box. So if a divine masculine who is a male, just in general, I'm not saying that females cannot have this as well, but it tends to be more geared toward male divine masculines. If they are like so laser focused on their career, it really does seem impossible to them to also carry that energy over to a relationship and focus as well on a relationship. So again, but it is a belief system. There are very successful men and women who focus on a good career and who also focus on a long-term relationship. So again, that's BS. It's a belief system that can be changed. The last thing I want to say to you, Divine Feminines, is what do you do if Divine Masculine gives you one of these excuses, one of these 10 excuses, or another excuse? The first thing I would suggest is that you hear them out. Hear them out completely and ask questions about it. So get curious and ask questions and let them talk until they have no more words. Because if you dispute their excuses, then what you are doing is you are invalidating their belief systems, and they are going to stay stronger to their belief systems. And what you want to be able to do is help them to start seeing outside of the belief systems that they have adopted, so that they can perhaps just expand their view. But the first step is to actually hear them out, to just listen and hear them out and ask some questions, get really, really curious. So the next step is to ask them, well, perhaps this has worked. So for example, given number one, the age difference, for example, you can say, that's really interesting and I respect that. And that might really be a thing, that it could be difficult with a large age gap. But do you think that perhaps there have been couples who have a 10-year age gap, 20-year age gap, 30-year age gap, who have been successful and who have had a successful relationship? Do you think there are couples like that? So ask the question, let them ponder and think things through to the end. And this will also help you check in to where they are at with you personally on this twin flame journey. If they give a very brief answer, or if they cut you off, or if they stay dead set on the excuse that they want to give to you, then it might just indicate that they are not ready to change their point of view and that they are not committed to following through to make things work with you. In that case, what I would suggest to you is that you just back away, stay really quiet, and allow them to move through whatever they need to move through in the coming days, weeks, months, years, whatever it takes. But it's really hard to change somebody's belief systems unless they are ready to change them already. But I want you to know, for the most part, if this is a soulmate or twin flame connection, that don't take the blame for their excuses of things that you absolutely positively cannot change. You cannot change your age. You cannot change your gender. You cannot change your race or skin color. So you cannot own those things. It's to them the person who is your twin flame to change their belief system or perspective that this could work in spite of these obstacles. This could work in spite of what I had previously believed about this. So I just want you to know that you are excellent. You are good as you are. There is no reason for you to change for anybody unless if you see shadow energies and wounds and behavioral patterns that you must change yourself. And you know what those are. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on that bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with other twin flames. And thank you so much for supporting this YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. You can also pledge your support on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.